This episode is a little different than my other episodes because I will tell you the story as if I am Marilyn who is speaking. Brushing my long blonde hair, I turned to my little boy Carter. "Does Mommy look pretty?" I asked. "Yes," he grinned. I looked after my hair and I was proud of it. A single mom. I was getting ready for a rare night out with friends. A few hours later, I was at the bar knocking back shots, having a great time with friends, and then I spotted Zachary Cross. He'd been at high school with my older sister. We've never met, but we were Facebook friends. "Hey, how are you?" I grinned. "I'm good," he smiled back goofily. Zachary was tall, slim, with a short beard and nice eyes. We chatted all night. He was funny and easygoing. We started seeing each other. Zachary dotted on his pitbull Capone. He was a sweetie, curling up on the sofa with me for a cuddle. Zachary could be moody though. He would grown up in boys' homes. I put his moods down to this tough upbringing. "There is something about him I don't like," my mom Linda warned. I struggled it off. Sure, Zachary could be a little possessive and jealous, always wanting to know where I was, who I was talking to. "It's because I love you so much though," he said. Then one day, during an argument over nothing on his front porch, he dragged me down the steps and threw me on the ground. "What the hell?" I yelled. "I'm sorry, I just lost it. I promise it'll never happen again." So he apologized, but it did. As our relationship went on, Zachary became more controlling and abusive. I could have left, but he threatened me. "I'll kill you if you leave me," he snarled, and things got worse. He broke my nose and blacked my eyes in another attack and choked me unconscious. How did I get entangled with a psycho? I fretted. I tried putting distance between us, ignoring him, not responding to calls. He texted constantly, apologizing, telling me how much he loved me. But when Zachary landed a job at the same book warehouse where I worked, I knew he was obsessed. "I just want to talk," he kept saying. I figured if I met him one last time, maybe I could calm things over, gently let him down, So I agreed to let him pick me up and go to his place to chat. Still scared, I put a folding pink knife in my pocket for protection, just in case. We got to McDonald's and then drove to Zachary's. I was standing at the kitchen island, eating fries, when out of nowhere he punched me repeatedly in the face. "What was that for?" "A guy tagged you on Facebook," he snarled. I shook my head in disbelief. "He's a friend of Brittany's. We just bumped into him in the park." Brittany was my best friend. We would have taken Carter to the park together, and the guy, a friend of hers, had turned up. Zachary wouldn't believe anything I said. I bolted for the door to escape a beating, but he dragged me back into his bedroom and threw me on the floor. Then he strangled me, pinning me down, and punched me in the face and in the head. Somehow I was able to grab my knife, and that made him even angrier. And then Capone the dog flew at me. His massive teeth clamped on my right ear. Crawling and tugging, he ripped half of it off. I don't know if it was the shock, the pain, or the punches to the head, but I blacked out. I came to sitting up, Zachary kneeling in front of me, smirking. Look at you, you're bald. No, nobody's going to want you. Go look at yourself in the mirror, he said. I staggered into the bedroom and vaguely looked in the direction of the mirror, but not really at it. My hair was wet and bloody. He's ripped clumps of my hair out, I thought. Get on the floor on your side, he ordered when I stumbled back in. Terrified, I did what I was told. I am going to break your ribs, Zachary said. And then he kicked and stomped on my side. He kept going until I heard a distinct crack. By then, I was so out of it, I didn't feel any pain. I thought I was dying. Over the next 2 hours, Zachary beat, kicked, and taunted me. Finally, he whipped the blood from my face, said he was finished and I could go. I begged for an ambulance. No, they'll take a bone, he snapped. He said he would drop me off. I thought he meant at the hospital. As we were leaving, he handed me a bloody plastic bag. I saw wisps of blonde hair and thought it contained clumps he had pulled out. He drove me past my mom's house and then stopped on street down. Can I have a kiss? He asked before letting me go. My skin crawled. My mom went white when she saw me. My hair is in this bag, Mom, I said, holding it up. She called an ambulance and I was taken to the hospital and rushed into the emergent surgery. A severed artery in my scalp was plumping out blood. I didn't really know what was going on. Hours later, I was sitting up in bed, my head bandaged, and a doctor walked in. Bluntly, he said, "Your hair isn't going to grow back." "Why? What do you mean?" "Your scalp has been cut off right down to the bone," he said. I gagged in shock, realizing that what I thought has been clumps of hair in the back was actually my skin with hair attached. Zachary had scalped me like something from an old cowboy movie. And he'd done it with my own knife. By then he was arrested, and meanwhile, when my dressing was changed, I asked for a mirror. I burst into tears when I saw my head. It was a raw, bloody mess, like something from a horror movie. "He could have killed you," my mom said to me. "I know he would, but he didn't want to, Mom," I cried. "He wanted me to live, to look in the mirror every day and be reminded of what he did. It was the cruelest thing imaginable. I had numerous surgeries to try and repair the damage, but it was so extensive. Zachary had slides back from my eyebrows back over my scalp. I lost over 50% of my scalp. Surgeons took skin grafts from my upper thigh, but there was only so much they could do. I would never get my long blonde hair back over most of my scalp. My ear was mutilated too. Detectives said Zachary denied scalping me and blamed Capone, but they would find my pink knife with bits of skin and hair attached. The incisions in my scalp were neat and linear, not felt like dog bites. I wore a knitted woolen hat when I left the hospital and hardly went anywhere without a hat after that. The hair on my remaining scalp continued to grow, and I styled it to try and cover the scalp's areas, but it looked like a bad comb-over. Wigs were hot and uncomfortable. I felt like people were staring at me everywhere I went. Sometimes I caught sight of myself in the mirror and burst into tears. At Zachary's court case, he still denied scalping me. I feel horrible for what happened, he said, but blamed Capone, who would have been euthanized. In March 2017, Zachary was jailed for 21 years for first-degree assault and other offenses. I'd met someone else just before. He wasn't bothered about my scalp. I can still get a guy, I joked to my mom. We had a little girl, Evelyn. A couple of years later, I had another little boy, Storm, 3 in December. Life goes on, and at least Zachary can't hurt anyone else. Sadly, though, I don't recognize the old me in photos before Zachary's attack. In those photos, I look happy, a young woman, full of the spark of her life. The light in my eyes has gone now. Zachary Cross was sentenced to 21 years in prison for the horrific assault on his then-girlfriend, Marilyn Stanley. So I would like to repeat that I told this story as if I was Marilyn. Please let me know what you